We'll start the meeting. Call to order. Do we have an invocation tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
We do need to add an item under discussion, and that will be related to review of ordinance 2020-3170, the mask mandate. We had committed to reviewing metrics at each one of our commission meetings.
Okay.
That discussion will be.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
I have a motion from Chuck and a second from Marcia. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public comments. No public comments. Discussion agenda.
All right, well, if you'll recall, we handed out a sheet that looks kind of like this last time. It has the gating criteria attached to it. And this is a couple of the metrics we were looking at was the 2-week county positivity rate, which is basically out of all the number of tested people that are tested, it's the number that's positive. And then we also looked at a cumulative county incidence rate. So how the trend is going with the number of cases that's adjusted for population. So this is the number of positive cases per 100,000 people. And so you have at your desk a couple of different graphs. The first one is the positivity rate graph, and you'll see that it looks like we peaked at a 65.58% positivity rate around the 1st of November, and we're now down to about a 25% positive rate. So that's one metric that we looked at. So it is coming down. It's still not as low as it was in October. In October, it was at 17.98. And then the second graph that we look at is the 2-week cumulative county incidence rate. So that's the population adjusted number. In October, we were at 216. It looks like we peaked around the 8th of November at 1,514. We are steadily coming back down, but we're still at 569. So we're not quite as low as what we were at the beginning of October, but we are coming down. We are trending downwards. So that is a good sign for us. You can see on that graph too, it kind of gives you a trend for every week, whether we're going up, increasing or decreasing, and you can see that from the numbers. There's another trend that talks about hospital capacity, and the really only way to put that back into numbers for us, all this information comes from the KDHE coronavirus micro website. They've got a lot of different statistics on that website. You're welcome to go out and check it out for yourself. Another statistic they put on there is statewide hospital capacity, and specifically what they're looking at there is the number of ICU beds. And I didn't get a graph made for that one, but it had been hanging out right around the 40-41% of available ICU beds across the state for several days, even a couple of weeks. And as of today, we're down to about 32%. So that is trending the wrong direction for us as far as bed availability. Listen to the governor's press conference here at 4 o'clock. And one of the things that she mentioned was that in Southwest Kansas, they were down to 0 hospital availability of beds there. And then in South Central Kansas was decreasing quite a bit too. So we don't necessarily transport patients that direction, but it is concerning because we need to look at the whole system. Dave Garnis is here from the hospital, and he also provided, I think you have a copy of that written report at your desk. Dave, do you want to say a few words and walk through it, or do you want them to read it? What's your preference?
Whatever you'd like me to do.
Okay.
I don't need to read to you. By any means. And just try to give you the perspective of Cloud County Health Center. I think we ended up, and I talked a little bit in here about just how swabbing works. You know, we work with the Cloud County Health Department, and we do swabbing swab collections through our clinic, ER, and drive-through collection sites. As you can see, the swabs collected through Cloud County Health Center, we were at 133 in September, 287 in October. In November, we maxed out at 845. And then we did see some stability, I would say, the week of Thanksgiving, mostly because Thanksgiving, we were closed and we were only open a half a day and only did a one-time drive-through on Friday. And plus people were maybe have traveled or were with their loved ones. So November 30th, we did 40. So we kind of looked at this week. December 1st, we did 23. And my total numbers for today is we did 53. I believe the numbers came back just before I left on NCK today, if I'm not mistaken, where there were 33 new positives today, and I think 22 negatives. So we hope to see it starting to flatten out, and I think some of the matrices are saying we're flattening out, and that's ultimately what we want. Staffing, you know, it's still a challenge. We were as high as 6 people out for COVID. I think we're at 2 right now, which is a great trend in the right direction. And although, you know, those numbers seem to be unassuming, not that alarming. But unfortunately, when you're looking at the size of staff, any percentage of people out, it is a challenge. And ultimately taking care of COVID positive inpatients takes more staff, takes more rooms, takes more equipment, takes more PPE, and there's been a lot more higher acuity. On the inpatient side, we've been as high as 6, and we're at 3 right now. We're still seeing about 50% of our ER visits, over 50% of our ER visits are COVID related. So we're seeing that as well. As Amy stated, ultimately, we're stabilizing. We feel like we're stabilizing. We're doing better. I mean, I do feel that way. We're still challenged, not like we were 2 weeks ago, but we're still challenged every day. But ultimately, the upstream issue is there in spades. You know, it's getting somebody into an ICU or to a higher level is very difficult. I think Salina has seen their highest numbers here over the last couple of weeks, their highest numbers that they've had. And so it's a challenge there as well as Topeka, Wichita, that type of thing. So it's just a challenge all the way around when you're going to that upstream, that higher tertiary care facility. You know, on behalf of the facility and staff and providers, you know, we hope our request or our hope is that we continue the mask mandate for at least a couple more weeks, and let's all hope that the numbers stabilize or can start decreasing so we can have a normal holiday season at Christmas. Any questions I can answer for you, I'd be happy to.
Questions? Good. Thanks, Dave.
Go back to the gating criteria, as you can see from the graphs, kind of to wrap up a little bit. If we're looking at the positivity rate, it's showing at 25.17%. And last time we looked at the gating criteria, we said we wanted to either recommend having being in the green or the yellow stages to be able to lift the mask mandate. That would require us to below 9.9%. Again, we're at 25% right now, down below 10%. Then we can look at lifting it based on that criteria. The other one is the cumulative incidence rate, and we're at 169 per 100,000 population. To get to green or yellow, we would need to get down at 100 or below. So we're 569 now, we need to get down below 100 as we look at those metrics. I guess I would ask the commission, does that threshold still seem appropriate at this point in time to try to get into the green and yellow zone? Or do you want to wait a couple more weeks to kind of see how our numbers go to determine if that's where we need to be?
I think we should wait a couple more weeks and review it and see how it's going. You know, we're seeing some decreases in some areas like the hospital or whatever, but it's not enough data to really have a trend or anything like that. So I think we ought to just kind of hold fast for at least a couple more weeks and
well, and we aren't quite a week out from Thanksgiving.
yeah,
And
yeah,
people traveling.
yeah.
So.
And then we're going to go right back into it with Christmas and see.
And then New Year's Eve.
I'm sure there'll be nothing but responsible decision making happening on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, right. Like there
There's lots of
always is.
social distancing.
And the no mistletoe ordinance, that we're talking about.
I think it's really important for us to look at our numbers here. I think the concern that I have, I would want to make sure that we're really focusing also though that basically our hospital capacity, that our rush may be over. And so we're not going to have those risks, but I think anything we can do to help be able to make sure that if somebody's ill with something else, that we try to minimize whatever extent we can COVID illnesses, but also recognizing that if somebody has a heart attack or stroke, we're still going to have a difficult time with those upstream issues. So I think that's something we need to be paying attention to as well. We may be okay here, but if there's still no place to send anybody with something else, then we don't need to be competing two patients trying to go somewhere. If we can make sure that one has a spot.
And the other thing that I don't think we really want to see is to, in a couple of weeks or whatever, look at it and go, oh, well, we're down to our numbers. And then we lift it. And then a week or two later, we got to go, okay, we're going to go back to the mandate again, because the people that were upset with the mandate originally, it's like, okay, let's go through that again unless we really have to and take a good look at it. So
I think they're really solid numbers to start with, and as we start seeing trends, we maybe be able to make more educated decisions as to whether they're in line or out of line. But I think they're about as good as what we have to work with for the time being, and not seeing anything that would cause us to make action tonight. So,
Are there any other metrics that you've thought about since last time that you would like us to present to you each time to consider?
no, I think the information, if there's the information about, I guess the upstream reality is probably that threshold for me is really what pushed me into taking action, is making sure that we can manage our own, but if there's no place for folks to go, that I was concerned about that bottlenecking. And knowing that we can treat this to whatever degree we can, but if there's nowhere to treat them, then that's my biggest concern. So, and that's included in this.
and then you look at the numbers, you can see they came back, they were starting to decline before the mask mandate. I don't know how much that affected it, but I'm curious as to, around the 1st of November, it started declining, and I think a person can think up all kinds of theories on that. But it is interesting, did some of it run its life? Did the really careless people get it and they're done with it? And we've got fewer careless people out there, or what? We don't really know. But it's the bottom line is it's good that it's headed in the right direction. Okay, any other discussion? Thanks, Amy. Action agenda, the minutes to the November 18th meeting. Thanks, David.
Move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion from Keaton to approve the minutes. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Chuck. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appropriation ordinance number 22.
I move to approve appropriation ordinance 22.
Have a motion from Chuck and a second from Marcia. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Cloud Court 2021 Professional Services Agreement. Kim. Let me just. I'll leave it right now. Okay, thank you. Okay,
So I was going to start, if it's okay, this evening. It's been a little bit since I've given an update. So I wanted to give a Cloud Corp update while I was on the agenda this evening. Some of the things that we have been working on year to date at Cloud Corp, it's been a little busy with COVID in our office. A lot of people, well, I shouldn't say COVID in our office. That didn't sound right. But with COVID going on, sometimes people may think that there's not a lot of economic development happening. However, we've been working really hard at helping maintain or retain the businesses that we have, not only within the city of Concordia, but also Cloud County as a whole. So on our projects year to date, we have our revolving loan fund disaster relief, where we have given to 10 businesses inside the city of Concordia, and there is one in process that we had discussed last time I was here when we decided to close the second round of funding, but I asked to leave the pending one that was in process available to be able to bring back to award. So that's what that one in process is. We have the CDBG COVID-1 dollars, which are the county-wide dollars that we've been administering also. We received $132,000 there. We have awarded 5 county businesses. We have one that is pending that we'll take next week to the county commission, and 2 that are in process. So these CB1 dollars, remember, are dollars we receive for county businesses. Since we have the revolving loan fund, no businesses in the city of Concordia could use the COVID-1 dollars. So these have all been county monies. We have neighborhood revitalization. The application is complete. It was approved by the Attorney General on November 19th, and it was filed with the Register of Deeds yesterday. So all of that is complete. So when our current one expires on December 31st, the new one will kick in on January 1. So we'll be good to go on that one for another 5 years. The Federal Home Loan Bank housing grant that we applied for, the deadline was in August. That was the grant for rehabilitation within the county for up to $750,000. We are hoping to receive notice prior to December 31st. On that one. So here in a couple of weeks, we should know if we've received $750,000 or any money at all. The Spark grants for businesses and nonprofits we administered for the county Spark funds. We just completed awarding those, presenting those yesterday. They will go to the county commission for full approval on Monday. We have 11 businesses that we've awarded dollars to, and 11 nonprofits that we awarded dollars to, for a total amount of $300,000. We also helped administer the Patterson Family Foundation grant. That was a grant that is looking forward to keeping businesses open for future pandemic needs. So any businesses that wanted to apply in Cloud County could apply. They could apply for PPE. They could apply to put plexiglass up. They could apply for tablets for touchless checkout. There were a whole bunch of things that businesses could apply for to receive funds. We are happy that 21 businesses applied. All 21 businesses were funded with approximately $97,000 awarded out to our county businesses. One of the things that we're working hard on right now at Cloud Corp is website redevelopment. That is something that has kind of become the forefront in economic developers' minds. With COVID, a lot of site selection, a lot of companies are doing everything virtually. So all the steps where maybe they would normally visit a community 2 or 3 times before deciding where to place their business, they may only actually be visiting the community 1 time at the very end and only sending 1 representative, where before they might have sent a team. So what we have realized with the Cloud Corp website is we don't have the information available in the format that site selectors and companies are looking for. There is a lot of information that we don't have, information that we can be coding onto our website from other websites that we have access to that give information on community population, workforce, where our dollars are being spent, what type of sites we have available, what those sites look like, what the infrastructure is set up on, everything. And we just don't have that information readily available. So what we are doing is we are working with 2 different companies right now, one on website development and one on the actual content writing to completely redo the website. We had our kickoff meeting today. It went very well. We were able to give them a lot of information for the content. The developers then will take the content information once it's written, develop the site, put the content into it, and we're hoping to be ready to launch in about 6 weeks. So got a little bit of work ahead of us, definitely there. We have Get in the Cloud dollars. We've had a lot of interest in the Get in the Cloud money. We have awarded it back in June to Bedrow Automotive and Maverick Steakhouse, but we still have $50,000 left of the Get in the Cloud dollars. We've set out a couple of different deadlines, and I've had people interested. They've picked up applications, they've started the process, taken the small business classes, but I think it all boils down to the pandemic. They're kind of afraid to pull the trigger. What's going to happen? Is my business even going to be able to launch? If it launches, am I going to be able to keep it open? Right? So we've had to keep pushing that deadline out. Our next deadline will be due January 15th. We're hoping that we'll have some completed applications then and people that we can look at to finish awarding out all of those dollars in hopes that we have a zero balance to apply for again in March. Community projects, full court press for progress is complete. Check mark that one off our list, and the 2020 census is complete. The national response rate, I've had some people call with confusion and information on the response rate. The national response rate was 67%. Kansas's response rate was 69.8%, and Cloud County's was 66.5%. Cloud County is actually up 1 percentage point from their response rate in 2010, but this response rate is only internet and self-responsive. This response rate does not include the census takers that went home to home, getting people to fill out their application. That's what we don't have the information on. Now, if you look at the census website, it will tell you, I think Kansas was like 97 or 98% of the homes they visited, they got information from. That doesn't mean everybody filled out an application. That means they knocked and realized the house has been sitting vacant and nobody lives there. Or maybe it was somebody that was just staying, kind of maybe an Airbnb-like, staying and then leaving, so they couldn't count them in the census anyway. And so when you're looking at the response rates, please don't think that only 66% of our county responded to the census. That's just those self-responding. And we did have some hurdles with COVID, with the libraries being closed, not being able to do our census Saturday, the school shutting down, and they were a big push for us to get information out to families. So it kind of hurt us a little bit there. So any questions?
Back on the projects here today on the website redevelopment, without getting into specifics, how's that impacting your budget for the year? Is that gonna be a surprise to your budget, or is it?
No. So the reason that we decided to do that in this year's budget is because when Cloud Corp agreed to take on some of the administration of the grants, there was an administrative fee involved.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we wanted to use that administrative fee for,
Okay.
was pushing it towards the website and getting that redeveloped. So
Okay.
if we wouldn't have had those administrative fees come in,
Yeah.
we probably would have budgeted for next year.
Okay,
I think it's a good reinvestment.
yeah, definitely. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay, thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. So the last thing that I have is the professional services agreement. At our regular board meeting on November 17th, the Cloud Corp Board of Directors agreed to and signed into the 2021 professional services agreement with the city. There were no changes or additions, corrections, anything to to it from the prior years. So tonight, I just ask that by approval of the city commission to enter into the professional services agreement for 2021 with Cloudflare.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the Cloud for 2021 professional services agreement.
Have a motion from Chuck. Second from,
Excuse me, does Marcia need to abstain?
That's why I didn't make
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say,
motion.
yeah, that's why she
she had the abstaining look on her face.
Yeah, I would just go ahead and abstain, that's.
Yeah, okay. I have a second. That was Keaton. You had a second?
Do we need,
That gives us 3 people voting. Is that a problem?
No,
Christie.
Christie's
No,
on
yeah,
there.
Christie.
Okay.
Christie, okay.
Is she on there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, so I have a motion from Chuck, a second from Keaton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Pretty sure.
Christie, what did you say in favor?
I voted aye.
Okay,
I
okay.
heard Keaton, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Kim.
So could I get your autograph?
There's nothing on the return address. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
All right, Stacy's next. Okay, thank you. (2021) CMB licenses.
You see the list of 10 businesses that have applied for the CMB licenses for next year, and all have been checked out, been the usual checks with the KBI, and they're all good to go.
move to approve the 2021 CMD licenses.
Have a motion from Chuck, a second from Marcia. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Affirmation of exempt property status for IRB certification, Prairie Land Partners.
This is an annual review of any business that comes to the city and receives an industrial revenue bond. So in 2010, Concordia Tractor received this, and they have since been sold to Prairie Land Partners. And it started in 11, so this is the last year for it. They just have to certify that they still have property that is tax exempt, and I think that's about it. But yeah, like I said, now we will start collecting property tax on that facility out there.
Starting in 21, in
Mhm.
January
I
21.
believe you did right.
All right, do I have a motion?
I move to affirm the exempt property status for IRB certification for Prairie Land Partners LLC.
I have a motion from Marcia,
Second.
second from Chuck. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2020-2116, classified, non-classified pay scales.
When we did the budget study session, we included a 1.8% cost of living increase into the 2021 budget. And so approval of this resolution is going to include that and will officially change the pay scales to reflect that cost of living increase. So for tonight, we're asking for you to approve that. That will impact both our hourly and salaried employees, all employees. Then also just wanted you to know that we have been having discussions about additional changes to the pay scale. We talked a little bit about that during the budget study session as well, that we may need to do some additional things to help, especially specifically target recruitment retention of those employees that are in year 1 to year 10. So we're still in the process of collecting some data on that, but we will be coming back to you with some proposed changes to the pay scale beyond the COLA for next year.
Okay.
I would move to approve resolution number 2020-2116, amending the pay scale to reflect the 1.8 cost of living adjustment for 2021.
Okay, I have a motion from Keaton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Chuck. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 2020-3171, animal control ordinance.
I guess nobody else is getting up, so I'll stay seated too. For the past, for a while now, we've been working on some changes to the animal control ordinance. Previously had come to the commission and discussed the regulation of fostering of animals within the city. We had a meeting with law enforcement and animal control and Amy as well. And we kind of started to talk about what we thought our needs were and what would be best for the community, what would serve the community best. We actually ended up kind of changing some of the approaches on some things. The dog bite ordinances are still the same as what we had brought to you guys. But what we decided was we were really having an issue with the accumulation of fecal matter. It was an issue that Bruno was having to deal with, an issue that Jody was having to deal with. So we decided maybe that was an issue that we needed to tackle. So we did go ahead and address that. But also in that meeting, it was indicated, and animal control was, I think, quite a bit in favor of this, is instead of regulating the fostering of animals within the city, we should probably regulate just the amount of dogs that are allowed in the city. So you'll see that what we went ahead and did was we're proposing tonight is that we limit the amount of dogs that are allowed in the city to 4 or less dogs, so no more than 4. There are a couple things that we need to address that some were and then some were brought up and weren't addressed. The first one being this is not something that's retroactively applied. So before somebody stops you at the coffee shop tomorrow, hopefully they're listening and they know that we're not going to come and take their dogs if they have 5 dogs at their house. However, should they get rid of one of those animals, they cannot replace it then and still have 5 dogs. Also, and I think maybe Mark had brought it up, what about the breeding of animals? What if somebody's dog has puppies or something like that? The current ordinances we have in the city, they have to register those dogs after 12 weeks of age. So what I will do is build into that ordinance the exception of an animal giving birth. They would have 12 weeks to take care of it, find homes. I don't want to say take care of, find homes for those puppies so that they are back down within that ordinance. 12 weeks is, I think, past the weaning time of those animals. And if someone, generally somebody's going to get rid of those puppies by then anyway. So I think those are 2 of that was kind of the big issue that needed to be addressed, was the breeders and or just people who simply dogs having puppies. That happens, on occasion as well. So given that, if anybody has any questions, I'm willing to address those.
Justin,
Yes,
just reading that, is that per household or per individual?
it's going to be per household.
Okay.
Yeah, it's per household. And I try to put owner and or possessor, or owner and possessor, because I don't want the situation where it's like, well, it's technically not my dog. I'm holding it from my friend. So, yeah. What your, oh, scoot up. Oh, they can.
So,
No, you don't have to get up. You can scoot up to the.
Oh, I forgot I'm right on the edge. I'm back. I'm just gonna go in and out of frame. Like, questions. So yeah, it would be, because we've had situations in municipal court where somebody's like, oh, it's not my dog, I've got it, hold it from a friend. Well, that's, no, it's ownership or possession of the animal. So it would be per household, yes.
only applies to dogs, not cats.
Only applies to dogs. There's no way we can regulate cats unless we do like Wichita that had like the feral cat farm that they started or something like that, where all these cats. I don't know, but no, we had talked about that. There's really no true way for us to regulate cats. So.
When people have dogs as pets and cats as people's pets.
Yeah, I'm kidding, yeah.
One easy way for us to monitor this is we currently register dogs. We don't currently register cats. And so we have basically an annual checkup with people as far as the number of dogs they're getting registered.
Yeah. And I think the accumulation of fecal matter is a big one too, that we have had issues with. It creates an unhealthy environment for not only because of the accumulation and the bacteria, the different things that can accumulate there, but also the stench is unhealthy as well. It affects others around them too. So we were talking about, I think that's an important one. Bruno's had issues where it's been so rank of an odor when he's, stepping out of his vehicle or walking up to the house, he can smell it. And that's something that needs to be addressed. That's just not something that's going to be.
Do we anticipate any issues in regards to me saying, no, it's not that bad, and the city saying, yes, it is? Is there?
No, really kind of how this is going to be is a lot of those situations where, it's going to be on the books to say, you can't accumulate, unhealthy, unsanitary, dangerous, or a rank odor. Yes, somebody could say, well, it doesn't smell that bad, but that's going to be a determination that's, more than likely it's going to be something that's reported. So you'll see on here, it creates an unhealthy environment to owners of property or to abutting or nearby property of others. So if, that's reported, Jody gets over there, oh my goodness, this is horrible. Well, not only is she now attesting to it, so would the neighbors. So if it's a situation where they say, oh, it's not that bad, well, then that's something we'll have to address in municipal courts, where, they'd have to come in and we come in with people who testify if that was not the case. I mean, I get a lot of those situations. Well, it wasn't that bad, or I wasn't going that fast, kind of a thing. So I think that can be pretty easily addressed and remedied.
People would just take care of their pets. It's amazing how much time has been spent in it.
Yeah. There's been, I know a lot about other communities and their animal ordinances and how they control them. So,
We also did talk a little bit about noise as well.
Right.
And since we already have the noise ordinance in place that we passed a year or two ago, then that can be addressed through that ordinance. So we didn't need to double up. One of the reasons I wanted to address the fecal matter in this ordinance, even though it can already be addressed as a nuisance, as the nuisance process just takes too long. It takes minimum 45 days to work through that. So this allows us to work through it much faster and get the issue addressed faster.
Good. Questions, discussion? Okay, and that's for a motion.
I move to approve ordinance 2020-3171.
A motion from Marcia,
Second.
second from Chuck.
we'll do that as amended before, just for clarification, as amended with the including of the 12 weeks of the puppies.
Okay. Motion counts as amended, okay. I have a motion from Marcia, a second from Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Managers report.
Nothing extra to share tonight.
Okay. Staff reports. Okay. Chief, you got anything? Okay. Mayor and commissioner reports. Marcia? Chuck?
Had the opportunity last night to hang out outside of Walmart for a couple hours, at Toby's suggestion, invitation. And I say a lot, but we were really amazed, not surprised, but just the generosity of a lot of folks. And I think there's a lot that we can find. So I guess one of the things I say a lot to my girls and a lot of things I say to my clients is, we will always find what we're looking for. If we want to look for things to be upset about, we'll find them. If we want to look for things to be grateful for, we'll find those too. It's important for us to try to focus on looking for the right things. And I think that it was a nice refresher, just how fortunate we are to be here and the generosity of folks as they walk by to throw some dollar bills or some change and make a difference for those that may be struggling in this season. So it was a good time, a little chilly, but it was a good time. I heard Toby promise somebody good weather. He didn't make me that offer.
All he has to do is get on the radio and say it might be sunny tomorrow.
It might be.
Yeah.
You might.
That's an honest statement. It might be.
Okay, that's it. Okay. I've had got a letter from a concerned citizen about the way are we auditing the COVID dollars, the applications, the loans, the grants, and all those things. You know, my first reaction is yes, you know, people have to turn in receipts and all those things, and that's what I visited with Kim about briefly, and I'm going to sit down with her and we're going to discuss that. She wants me to bring the letter over tomorrow, and then we'll just discuss that, and we'll try to address it in future meetings, saying, hey, somebody had a concern. Here's the process. I think that's a good thing to do. So we'll do that. I don't monitor social media too much on things. I know people have opinions both ways, whether it's masks or COVID in general or whatever. I did hear that today that, you know, the CDC is scaling back the quarantine length of time from 14 days to 10 and to 7 if you were negative, but you know, were around it. So they scaled that back. I've had a couple of times where I've self-quarantined because I had to go to Kansas City for family stuff, a funeral and whatnot, wore a mask, didn't really mingle around too many people, kept my distance, but still did a self-quarantine, stayed away from people. And I encourage people to continue to do that, take it upon themselves to do that, because it really is important. And I also encourage people that definitely, if you've tested positive or if you're supposed to be quarantined, live by the rules and stay home and stay away from people, because that's where we get a big risk. So thank you to everybody that's working through this. We're starting to see numbers go down. We need to keep that trend up, because the faster we get that trend going down, the faster we can lift some restrictions and offset some of the impact to our economy. So that's all I've got. Christy, do you have any comments?
I do. I just wanted to thank members of the community and the business community as well for voluntary compliance, really, with the mask mandate. And apparently we're seeing some positive results, and I expect that we will continue to show some improvement. And so that's what we can all do. And so thanks so much.
Keaton?
I don't have anything for this evening.
Okay. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion from Chuck to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Keaton. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Yep.
Good night.
Thanks.